All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, thanks for joining us, everybody. Mr. Ron Futrell.
Sharp is here. Sharp is here.
He decided to make it. He strolled in today. He's here. He made it. Thanks for joining us.
I am present.
Yeah, thank you. Futrell showed up on time. What's your excuse?
Honestly, there was a bunch of conventions downtown. First of all, yesterday I wasn't here because I was stuck in Prim. I was in Los Angeles all weekend.
Yeah.
My wife is an up-and-coming poker personality. Her name is Las Vegas Meg, and she had a big poker meetup at the Commerce Casino. So I was there for about 2 or 3 days. Tried to come back home early. And
by the way, can I just interject? She's a personality. I don't know if I'd put poker in front of it, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said poker personality, which she is.
We wrote a song around that, by the way.
We
did the lyrics, I did the music.
We did write a song about it, but for some reason the freeway was shut down for actually quite a long time. And so I ended up having to get a hotel room, snow, ice, whatever. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I mean, right now there's 12 inches of snow as we speak in Omaha. What you guys have here is absolutely nothing. The problem is it doesn't happen often, so you don't know how to deal with it, which is totally fine. But I was stuck there. I stayed at Whiskey Pete's, and I was there till about 5 or 6, and I got back home around 7:30. So that's why I missed the show yesterday.
That's a touching story.
Isn't that amazing?
It's a song. No, we wrote a song. We wrote a song of it.
Can we play a violin? Anyway,
if you want to hear the song, we'll do it later.
No,
you don't want to hear the song, Brian.
No, Ron. I've heard you play too many songs already. I can't do it. No,
I didn't sing. It's Sharp sang. So
no, well, I'll pass on that one.
Okay.
Too many swears in that song. Anyway, this is a really wild.
It was full of vulgarities.
This is a really wild and crazy story, and it involves the Chicago Police Department, and it involves an actor. You could say maybe a failed actor, or maybe an actor that's not an A-lister. But Jussie Smollett, this story has made national news, and it starts, of course, with, you remember weeks back, he claimed that he was attacked by 2 men. I believe he started out by saying two Muslim men, and then...
I didn't hear him say Muslim.
No, he said
he just said 2 men.
He
said
in masks.
In masks. 2 men wearing masks who said
with red hats.
Right.
Yeah. He claimed that they put a rope around his neck and they called him the N-word, and they said this is MAGA country. And I think a pretty normal response to this would be, wow, that's really horrible. That's terrible. I'm sorry that happened to you. I hope they get these bastards who did this, right?
Well,
I think that's a normal reaction.
From the start, it looked like fraud to me.
Okay, well, maybe
Chicago?
Maybe you saw that. I'm just saying.
No, I did see it.
Okay,
but
I'm just saying when I hear something like that and I don't pay attention to all the details, my first reaction would be, wow, that's terrible. That's horrible. I hope they get the people who did it. I'm just saying that would be a normal reaction. Then as the story progressed and they made 2 arrests, it turns out the Chicago Police Department released these 2 men, no charges, and that's when I'm thinking, oh boy, maybe this didn't happen. And it turns out that these 2 men know this guy.
What?
And now 2 police officers within the Chicago Police Department.
These 2 Nigerian brothers know Jussie Smollett.
Yes. One of them was in his show. And so the amazing thing is, Jussie Smollett's attorney saying, well, he's very angered by this, that 2 people that know him could have done something like this, and he's so upset that people are accusing him of, transpiring this to happen and paying these guys. These guys are saying they were paid somewhere around $4,000 for this. Now, to me, there's 2 issues here. Number one, and this is the most important one, if this is true about Smollett, I hope he goes to jail, because he is not only a moron and a racist, but he's also a criminal. Because these are our tax dollars going to an investigation like this, and he's a liar.
And he's also trying to cause a racial war here by doing that.
We do have a lot of issues in this country when it comes to race relations.
I consider that borderline terrorism.
It's not terrorism. The guy it's a false police report. It's a crime. It's not terrorism.
But the way that it was facilitated through and pushed through the media to create the massive uproar.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's not terrorism. I mean, you got to kill somebody or try to kill somebody. He didn't do that. But like I said, there's 2 sides to this. The Smollett side, which is, if this is true, I hope he goes to jail. He's a scumbag. I think he absolutely ruined his career, by doing this. I think he's done. But then there's the other side to the story. Okay, Ben Shapiro, who does the TV interviews all the time.
Your cousin Benny.
Certainly not my cousin. That's for sure. And I'm not sure I'd want Ben to be my cousin. He's a smart guy. But
I know Ben.
But
I like
anyway,
Ben.
he goes on TV today, Fox News, I believe it was, and then he's going after Kamala Harris because Harris took to Twitter and she made a statement when she first heard about the story. and said, hey, this is horrible. I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but she's, goes to show you, race issues in our country. She made comments like that. And Ben Shapiro's criticizing her for that. Well, Harris was interviewed a few days ago, and she said, look, if this is true, we need to get all the information. Probably she didn't have all the information. And I think her reaction was pretty normal when you hear somebody called the police and they claim that two people were calling an African-American racial slurs. You tend to believe the victim.
No, unless you have a brain cell. That's not true. No, it was too perfect to be true. No, it was too, let me repeat this again. It was from day one, it was too perfect, and I'm putting that in air quotes.
Hate crimes happen all the time.
No, they don't. They don't
yes,
happen
they
all.
do.
No, this was too perfect to be true. In the middle of Chicago, and during Chicago, 88% of the people voted against Trump, by the way. There's not MAGA country.
Okay, but you didn't know that 100% that it was staged.
No,
nobody
it was
did.
I said it was too perfect to be true.
I think this was also when it was like minus 27 degrees or something in Chicago.
It did not.
The weather was horrible.
So you're going to criticize a politician?
Yes, I will.
Oh, come on, that's ridiculous.
It did not pass the smell test from day one. It looked. First of all, the right is not violent. The left is. Look at Antifa. The left is violent, not the right. The right does not wear hoods and go out and do those sort of things. No, they do not. There's no record of that. There is no record.
Is violent and the right is not violent.
Have you heard of Handicappers?
So what? There are people on the right that are nut jobs also.
Oh, they're nut jobs? Oh, yes, there are. But
there aren't violent people on the right. How could you make a statement like that?
They're not violent in Chicago in the middle of winter. How could you make a statement like that, that
there's nobody on the right that's violent?
I didn't say that. I said in the middle of winter in Chicago wearing hoods. That doesn't, in saying this is MAGA, it was too perfect to be true. It did not pass the smell test from day one with me.
Okay,
because
fine.
I have this.
You didn't believe it. Fine.
No, I didn't believe it.
Fine.
Because I thought it was idiotic.
But I think it is idiotic to criticize a politician
now you're gonna go
for trying to just say, look, this is a horrible thing. I mean, she didn't know. She didn't have all the details.
No, she's not that smart.
It's got nothing to do with that.
No, she's not that smart.
It's got nothing to do with that.
No. Here's what it is. Let's go here. Let's go. Robin Roberts with ABC News has taken this hook, line, and sinker from ABC News. She sucked into this thing because she wanted it to be true. Kamala Harris wanted it to be true. Cory Booker wanted it to be true. They wanted Jussie Smollett's story to be true. They wanted it badly. They wanted it to be true. It ended up being a total fraud because it did not pass.
You cannot tell me
they wanted
that there are people that wanted this story to be true, except for Smollett.
ABC News, no, Robin Roberts wanted it to be true at ABC News. They've doubled down at ABC News. They now said this morning, I watch Good Morning America. It's my fault. Okay, I watch it. But I watch Good Morning America. Today they said, well, Jussie Smollett has an excuse because he was so upset because that letter that was sent to him on January 12th didn't get enough credit. I don't believe that letter is true. I believe nothing he says. I believe nothing he says because he has lost all credibility.
Let's see if
here's the spirit of discretion as a reporter. Here's what you do as a journalist. By the way, it took, and this I love, that it was the local journalists in Chicago at ABC Chicago and CBS Chicago that uncovered this story, where the national networks who all wanted this story, read my lips, they all wanted this story to be true, so they reported it as fact, not alleged, not he said. They reported it as fact.
It was reported as fact initially.
It took the local news in Chicago to uncover this. I love that local news has more credibility than the national SOBs that just report stuff because they want it to be true. That's the essence of the story right there.
And they're talking about how he's being written off out of his part, et cetera, et cetera. He's actually a really, really integral part of that show. He plays the protagonist's son in that show, so he's making making plenty of money in that show.
If he did do this, he has screwed his career. We got to take some calls. We got to take some calls.
He might be a leftist hero. He might run for president.
We haven't
under the leftist banner. Who knows?
All right. Well, we haven't taken many calls so far.
What?
That's usually a rarity for the first hour. So we got the lines are full right now. So let's take some calls on this one at 257-5396, and let's start with Kelly. Kelly, thanks for calling in. How are you?
What's up, Kelly?
I'm great. Well, you got a few facts wrong, but. First off, with the Kamala Harris issue, she came out, her tweet basically said, this is a modern-day lynching. And
well, if it was true, I would agree. If it was true.
Well, this is the problem.
But she said it was true. She didn't qualify it. She said it was true.
She assumed it was true. And
she said it was true.
And when I hear a victim or someone saying they're a victim was attacked by two people, I tend to agree with them. The only reason why he made this up is because if he did, it's because he's a celebrity and he tried to further his career. And he's disgusting if he did do that. But I think 99.9% of people that say they were victims of some sort of crime like this are telling the truth.
Am I the only smart one that figured this out? That said from day one? That did not pass the smell test from day one.
Fine, but I'm not going to sit here and attack all Democrats.
Republicans don't do that.
All right.
Conservatives don't do that. No, they don't. They are very, very, very rare. It's
You're
so
right.
rare.
People
and
on the right are perfect, and people on the left are all bad.
I did not say that.
Well, I know, but that's what you're kind of saying, and I
doesn't happen.
And I that's ridiculous. All right, Kelly, go ahead. Go ahead, Kelly.
No, but the thing is okay. This all started because I've literally been watching this as my favorite soap opera for the last month.
Yes.
Basically, he mailed himself, or he had the two brothers do it, but he received a letter at the care of the studio addressed to himself.
Yes.
The return address said MAGA. That's all it said. And it basically said, "You're going to die, you black," you know, and then an alternate word for gay.
Yes.
And then it was inside it. It had, they found out later was crushed Tylenol pills. Obviously, it was trying to make it look like a white powder, like rice.
Yeah, I believe all that.
And no one, the news didn't really pick it up. No one cared.
Well, I don't think the news had all that information. It was an ongoing investigation.
Brian,
maybe there were some leaks.
Brian, you're smarter than ABC News this morning because they sucked that letter straight up this morning and said this was his excuse for doing it because of that letter that was sent to him. They sucked it up.
And that's nonsense.
And I'm sitting here going, Robin, are you kidding me? Former sports gal.
Yeah. What's funny is,
here's my problem, though. Okay, Robin Roberts is one,
which and how they tried to justify it by saying, hey, if you got this letter, then it's okay that happened, and then now your reaction is whatever it is, which is how bad of a crazy precedent would that set moving forward for anybody else?
Well, Kamala Harris is one Democrat. Robin Roberts is one
Another
anchor.
Democrat.
One anchor. You're talking about two people, and then Ben Shapiro goes on TV attacking the left as if they are all doing this. And I am tired of people generalizing just because you have a political affiliation. I'm sorry, it's wrong. Okay,
you're emphasizing Ben Shapiro's reaction to the reaction of the reaction of the reaction to the reaction.
The first time I heard this story, I didn't read the story over 20 times. I assumed it to be true. When somebody says that they are a victim of a crime, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Just like when a woman says she is raped, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt unless you prove it otherwise. Now it appears
that's a different victim of rape.
Now when it appears as though, and we don't know 100%, but it appears as though Jussie Smollett made this story up. I want him to go to jail. Now, please find me one Democrat out there, including Al Sharpton, by the way, who said if he made this up, he needs to pay the price for it. That's what Al Sharpton said. Okay? Find me one Democrat. I want both of you. I want Kelly and Ron. Find me one Democrat after he's proven to be a liar that will say and feel sorry for him. Find me one.
No, they should have been smart enough to figure this out in advance. If I was, they should be. If I was, they should be. But they didn't want it to be true. They did not want it to be right.
Go ahead, Kelly.
You would think that they would have learned after they jumped on the Covington kids.
Oh, yeah.
That they would have they would have maybe taken a little bit of pause. And I would have been fine with her tweet if she had just said, if this is true, this is horrible, this is a hate crime, that would have been fine. But everyone took it as fact. And everyone was like, well,
I don't think everyone took it as fact. When you use that term, everyone, I think it's pretty loose.
Kamala Harris had no qualifying words in there. She had no qualifying.
There's a video compilation of the left media all taking it as fact, and
I could make compilations of the right media too. You can make compilations of anybody, right, left, middle, being whoever you want. So a compilation is edited, and it doesn't mean anything to me. I can make compilations of Donald Trump being the worst human being on the planet if I wanted to.
CNN makes their mistakes in one direction. They don't make their mistakes to the right. CNN and MSNBC make they make their mistakes to the left. Why is that?
Are you talking about the media or are you talking about politicians?
Thank you.
Kelly,
CNN and
Kelly,
MSNBC,
thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
CNN
All
and
right.
MSNBC
Talking,
make their mistakes to the left. Why is that they always make their mistakes?
Well, we're
that
talking about two
direction?
different entities right now. We're
Oh,
talking. I was
why do
talking,
they
but I
always
wasn't
make
talking
their
about the
mistakes?
media. I was specifically talking about going after a politician for, and let's take another call on this. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. The number to call in. Let's go to Gary. Gary, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Hey, Brian, why
Yes,
don't
sir.
we have jails for morons?
Why don't we have jails for
Jails for
morons?
morons.
Because
We have country club jails. We have jails, prisons for violent criminals. Why, and the other thing is, I'm not a conservative.
Okay.
I mean, I think conservative. I believe in the philosophy more than, you're a good guy. I agree with you, but
well, you're wrong on
I'm
that.
not a liberal.
I'm a horrible person.
Yeah,
Go
he's
ahead.
awful.
Yeah.
We
Well,
all
you know
are.
what? I think when you're a moron, and I have to make a confession. I listened to Dana Lash. Is that her name?
Oh, the witch. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, she went.
Yeah.
She went through about 15 to 20.
Lock and load.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 15 to 20 of these so-called hate crimes that turned out to be a bunch of nonsense, and the person that
Yeah.
made the claim turned out to be the person.
Dana
that did it,
Loesch
you know?
is somebody that gets paid, and I appreciate the call, Gary. Thank you very much. Dana Loesch is somebody who gets paid an enormous amount of money by the NRA to be the spokesperson. She has blood on her hands, and she is a complete nitwit. I mean, Dana, you mention her name on this show, I get angry, Ron. Let's take another call.
Use the term moron there. By the way, moron is a technical term used in the 1930s in this country. Imbeciles,
is.
morons, retarded, was created by the leftist socialists in this
there you
country.
go again.
No,
Blaming everything on the left.
Eugenics.
What a shocker.
No, they created eugenics, which I would like to ask Bernie Sanders, running for
We're going
president
to talk
today.
about. Hold
Bernie,
on. We're going to talk about.
are you
going
to bring back eugenics?
We're going to
No,
talk
you
about
bring it
Bernie
back.
next segment.
Socialism, eugenics was an essential part of socialism back less than 100 years ago in this country. It needs to be discussed. I'm wondering, and moron was a technical term given to people, and they would take and prevent them from procreating for the rest of their life. No, it's
fair
no,
enough.
go. You need to know eugenics, Brian. Study it, know it.
All right,
learn it, and learn that it was.
Let's find out what Louis.
It was a product of the left.
Let's
in this
find out
country.
what Louis thinks about eugenics. Louis, thanks for calling into the Vegas
eugenics
Take. How are you, Louis?
Yeah.
Louis, you're on the air.
Guys.
Yes, you're on, sir. Go ahead.
Well, I'd like to know what y'all think of the stuff coming out with this Andrew McCabe, and now it seems like all the lefties are starting to go after each other and throw each other under the bus.
Woo-hoo.
All the lefties are going after each other and throwing people under the bus.
they're not?
Can you be a little bit more specific?
Well, you got Comey comes out and says one thing. Now McCabe comes out against Comey,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got them all coming out just kind of ratting on each other, trying to play the blame game.
I would actually say the same thing about the Trump administration. Look at all the people that have pled guilty.
No,
Yes,
but
yes,
this is
yes,
all
yes,
about the
yes.
Russian
Look at all the people in the White House that have pled guilty and have.
Don't get off my point.
No,
You're getting off my point.
No, I'm not.
That's
You're
your
making
problem,
you're
you
making the
bitch.
argument that all Democrats are going after each other, and I'm giving you facts and telling you that how many people have been pled guilty and how many people are cooperating that have worked at one point or another for Donald Trump. I'm not going off the subject. This is the same subject. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, let's go to JD. By the way, the number to call 257-5396. 257-5396. JD, you're on the Vegas Take. How are you?
Hello to all the gang there. Good to have you all there.
What's up,
You
JD?
know,
Good to hear from you.
Hi, JD.
There's no better. I think that the last gal mentioned it briefly. There's no better comparison to how the media went after the Catholic kids from the Covington as opposed to how they supported this guy. As you said, Ron, and I have a buddy in Chicago, Charles Butler. He does a radio show. He's a black conservative. He gave me the whole lineup. He said, I'm down there. There's nothing down there. He went for a hoagie at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Easy to see his
degrees
fraud.
Below zero.
Easy to see
he had
his fraud.
hoodies on. Nobody even recognized this. It could recognize him. But in regard to the hate crime, the reason why, Brian, you don't know about them because they're not reported. In the last year, a Muslim in New York, a hoax against Trump, a bisexual in where the heck is that?
So what's your point? So there's hoaxes out there. What's your point? There's also
Well,
a lot of hate crime out there as well. There's also a lot of violent crime out there as well. What's your point?
Is when there's a hoax and it's proven that it wasn't inspired.
We didn't know that when it first came out. We didn't have all the evidence.
Wait a minute.
It did not pass the smell test.
Stop yelling, please.
Okay, well, please don't tell me how to talk. This is our show, not yours, JD.
I
and number two, hold on.
You got the button. I know that.
I'm not. I don't have a button. What? I don't have the WMDs like Donald Trump. I don't know what you're talking about.
We do love our buttons over
yes,
here.
Listen, JD.
All you have to go to is Nancy Pelosi's tweet.
Every time you call up, you attack the left, JD.
Nancy Pelosi had everybody on the right already convicted and hung. She removed her tweet because it was so profane.
Can I ask you a question? Have you ever criticized the right for anything when you've called this show? That's why I yell. Because here's my problem: you always take the side of the right.
You give me an incident where
has the right ever? Has anyone that is a first of all, I don't care if someone commits a crime whether they're on the right or the left. I don't care. You seem to care. I don't care what their political affiliation is, but I can guarantee you that there are people on the right that commit crimes, just like there are people on the left that commit crimes.
And when they have, you haven't heard me, and you haven't brought it up. You haven't heard me on other shows, or when I did shows, I went against them just as hard as I'm going against the left. There's no gray line here. If you commit a felony, if you commit a crime, you got to do the time.
It's not a crime for coming out and assuming that this guy Smollett was assaulted. That's not a crime. Now, after
he is portrayed it as they knew, it was like the shooter in Columbine, not Columbine, the movie theater. Ross lost his job on ABC because he said it was a right-wing hack job belonging to a right-wing organization. That Robert Roberts interview was nothing more than a commercial for this guy. She never asked him one.
You know who we should be angry at? I'll tell you who we should be angry at. We should be angry at this guy, Jussie Smollett. That's where the anger should be. No. He's
just an opportunist who's taking advantage. He thought he had
a slam
dunk like all of these people do because they get a pass in the media.
All right, JD, I got to let you know.
When someone in the media calls it a modern-day lynching, that is about as aggressive as you can possibly be.
Again,
also,
Jesse knew how to use the media.
JD was talking about Covington. Nick Sandman just sued for $240 million today.
I understand that. Look, the point...
that Jussie Smollett dude knew how to use the media.
We're going to continue.
And he knew they would fall for it. He knew they would fall.
Well, we're going to continue this conversation. It looks like justice will prevail here because if he did actually set this up, he's probably going to get some jail time for this. 257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 702-257-5396. Ron Futrell in studio, JD Sharp in studio, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.